Hello, everybody, and I'm, as always, glad to see you here. So many people joining. 100, more than 100 people have already joined, and we're still waiting for some more people. Great to see you all. If you can hear me, if you can see the screen, and if you can see everything, please type in the chat where are you from.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Okay. All great. Thank you very much. Today I have my colleague here, Irina Katsion. This is our new Cambridge University Press ELT consultant. And before we start, I would like to introduce her, but I think she will tell you more about herself. So this will be the new Cambridge University Press ELT consultant. Together with me, we will be helping you, and we will be supporting you even more, twice more.
Hello, everyone. Hope you hear and see me well. As Tanya told, my name is Irina Katsion, and I'm really proud to be the member of such a highly professional team. From now, we will work together with Tanya to provide you with more information, with useful information, with different methodological approaches that I'm sure will help you to make your classes and your professional activity in general more effective and more interesting. So follow us on Facebook and other social medias in order to be aware of our new events. Thanks a lot for your attention, and hope I hope to meet you soon on my sessions too. And now I'll be leaving you for further interesting session with Tanya.
Okay, thanks a lot, Irina. And yeah, time to work now with our topic. So today's topic is reading skills for grade 4 at the new Ukrainian school. I guess that's why we have not so many people today, but still a lot of people who are interested in this topic and most probably work with primary students. Today we will revise a few things we already know about reading and how it works. And also we will look at how we can build reading lessons for our primary students. And what are the main highlights of this presentation? So what is reading skill? We will be looking at this thing. What are the learning outcomes for reading at grade 4? I inserted this question to see what we can ask ourselves at the end and see whether this topic is interesting for you in future, so we can prepare more on this point. How it works with in Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine, and a few takeaway activities on how to plan the reading lesson. Before we go to this particular topic, I just want to remind you that at grade 4, we have the new version, the new quality of activity books. What it means is that we have the scratch codes inside the workbook, the activity book. On the first page, if you get this, if you see this scratch code, you can find your exclusive code that will give you the possibility to get the 10% discount to pass movers exams. A1 movers exams for grade 4 for movers, for students who reached level A1 according to CEFR, are able to pass this exam, and With Quick Minds activity books, they are able to pass these exams specifically with the 10% discount. So don't miss your chance to check your children, your students who actually reach this level of English if they work with Quick Minds for Ukraine. Now we are ready to get to the session. My first task for you would be type in the chat. What was the last book you enjoyed reading? Some people are still joining. That's great. Okay, I finally get a few answers. There's a little delay, I guess. I actually decided to read something and I don't know what to read, so I'm asking you, what did you enjoy? So I can take it and read it at home. Okay. Oh, George Orwell, great. I just recently read it too. It's a little bit different from what it seemed to be at school. Books on psychology, that's great. Mary Poppins, somebody texted. Oh, Henry, ooh, I love Oh, Henry. Love of Life, that's Jack London, right? Oh, I know the one about Men from Mars. Maria Matios, that's great. Okay. All the Kingsmen. I don't know what it is, but I will definitely look it up. Okay. So that's great that you find time for reading, and actually it's a wonderful habit. I started developing this habit as well, like waking up and giving myself half an hour for reading. At least while I'm going from home to work using the underground. That's what I always do while going to work. Okay, I've got more Oliver Twist once again. Nice. And my next question would be, when was the last time you didn't want to read? What was that? The last time you didn't want to read. With me, for example, last time I didn't want to read was when I went to the vaccination point and they made me read some long thing. I didn't want to read it, but I had to, you know, in order to sign everything properly. It wasn't much, just a few sentences, but I didn't want to read that. Snow Quinn, you didn't want to read it? Oh, I guess it's still the previous question. Oh, and also, well, I hate reading documents, you know. This is something you have to read, but you don't usually enjoy reading different documents. Okay, so I'm still waiting for a few answers. The last time you didn't want to read and you had to. Okay. I'm pretty sure that you thought of something, like either it's, yeah, as you're writing, after work you come back home and you don't want to read. If you had to, for example, after a bright day, yeah, it might be that you either feel exhausted or something like that, but still there might be things you had to read. So what is the difference between these two memories? The last time you read, you wanted to read, you enjoyed reading, and things you have to read but you don't want to, but still you have to. What is the difference? Are the skills that we use for reading these things the same or different? The feelings are definitely different, right? And when you think of what you remembered, of course, you remember what you enjoy reading, and you don't actually remember what you didn't like, unless the frustration is so strong that you might remember it, but you won't remember the information you wrote, most probably you read. If we think about the reasons why we read in general, I have a few pictures for you. I have, yes, a few pictures. So you look at them and see how it feels reading at this moment. What parts of your brain work? What parts of your memory work in these moments? So here is a girl, and she is most probably reading for studying. She has a lot of books around her, and she's researching something, sticking the notes somewhere. So this is reading for studying, right? Reading for what can this be? Yeah, when somebody writes you a message, how does this feel when you read a message? Depending, of course, on what kind of message this is, but still, you talk to a person, but you type something and then you read the messages. How does that work, and how does that feel? How does the brain work compared to this process, studying and interacting? Then when we go, for example, to a railway station or airport, what do we read there? We have a lot of information around, some tables, timetables, and we need to find our flight or our seats. Yeah. So how do our reading skills work in this case? When we go to a restaurant and decide what we can eat, do we read for pleasure here, even though we might look pleased and joyful? And the things you were mentioning at the very beginning of our session, reading for pleasure. Yeah, when you are in the story, you're involved, engaged, and you want to keep reading, you don't feel how the time goes, and so on. So our brain works differently in each case, right? If you Google something and look for the news, it's all different. But if we think about three types, according to the reasons of reading. So we read for information if we are in the railway station, if we are studying, if we are Googling something. We read for pleasure when we are into the story and sit down with a cup of coffee or tea and just have time for reading. Even if we are in the underground, as I do, you open the book and you don't actually hear what's going on around you because you're in the story. And for interaction, this is something we have been doing as people since the language appeared and the written language appeared, when we could communicate and write something and read the answer from another person. So these are three main reasons that would require different skills. And how can we develop all of these skills at our lessons? This would be the main aim of this session. Right, that was what was I thinking of, yeah? We use different skills for sure. Before we get to different stages and how we can develop all of these skills, so we need to understand what are these skills. What is reading in general? According to Penny this is a great researcher, great Cambridge University Press author. She says that reading is not just about the process of perceiving the text and then doing something with it. And you cannot just read, check the speed, how much you can read, and so on. Reading is about interaction with the text. And Penny has some great ideas about how actually people interact with the text. And I remember showing it before. So those who have already been to different reading sessions I had might know what will happen now. But for those who are new, that would be great to find out. And for everybody, it would be good to revise. So my question to you would, my task for you would be to type now what is true and what is false. There are 4 statements by Penny First, we need to decode individual letters to read words. Is it true or false? We need to read all the words accurately in order to understand the meaning of the text. If we understand all the words in the text, we will understand the text. The more words there are, the longer the text will take to read. So I will ask you to write down, to type in the chat, 1 F or T, 2 F, T, 3 and 4. In one line, please, so I can see what are the answers. Is there anything true? What do you think? Okay, people say everything is false. Nothing is true. Oh, I've got 1 truth. I've got 3 more truths. Okay. This is a very philosophical question, I would say, because depending on the context, all of them can be the true or false. But we will look why all of them are actually debatable. So I would say that everybody who said false are correct. Everybody who said truth on some of them might be correct in different contexts, right? So we need to decode individual letters to read the words. Let's look at this. Yep. Can you decode what is written here? Next to Cambridge University Press logo, what is written there? You can type that in the chat as well. Ah, Yelena, thanks a lot. I think it's my favorite answer about these letters, what it means. That's something like that. Yeah, that's something I read when I first saw it as well. But let's look at the context. She's a natural teacher, and it was a pleasure to have and I will ask you to type. She's a natural teacher, and it was a pleasure to have. Let's decode it. Yes, perfect. You see how easy it is. So in the context, we can actually understand what is written. We cannot read normally when it's out of the context. And we cannot just as it was written, we need to decode individual letters to read the words. Look at these letters. How can we decode that? Yeah, it's handwriting, and it's not always truth. We need to know how to decode letters and how to put them together, but only the context gives us the understanding. Only the context gives us the skill to read. So this is, sorry. Context is important, and decoding each letter to read, this is something we don't really have to do. The second statement, someone said it was truth. We need to read all the words accurately in order to understand the meaning of the text. So let's read this paragraph. I think you've seen it. I'm giving you 30 seconds to read this paragraph. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, power of mind, of course, but what does it show us? That we understand not the sequences of letters. Our brain tends to understand the whole picture. And if we have the frames for the whole picture, It's easier for the brain to fill it with what it already knows. Yeah, of course, we wouldn't be able to read this text if it was, for example, in Chinese. If everything is messed up, or yeah, so depends on the language, and also depends on the knowledge of the language. We couldn't read it if there are no, for example, German speakers at this webinar, and the text would be in German, and we just started learning. Of course, yeah, that's understandable. But what it shows us that when we study, when we are learning to read, and as well as our students, when they are learning to read the new word, students need to understand the sight of this word, the image of this word, how it works in different contexts, how it links to other words. And then student will have this reading skills where the brain fills the gaps on its own, right? And actually the speed of your reading of this text would be the same if all the letters were on its places. Okay, the third statement. If we understand all the words in the text, we will understand the text. Try reading the following. And here, C++ is a general purpose programming language. It has imperative object-oriented and generic programming features while also providing facilities for low-level memory manipulation. I already forgot everything I read. But the point is, well, I understood each of the words, but I didn't really understand the context. Yeah, so I'm a little bit out of this context. This is something I don't know very well. And if it was the text about the English language teaching methodology, and there would be some not understandable terms for me, I would still understand it better because I have some background. And this is how a brain works. When we have top-down process and bottom-up process, when we already have some knowledge about the topic we are reading, and another process when we are trying to decode the sense of what we've read through the words, through the separate words. And if I go here, I would definitely understand that programming language, it has something to do with programming. It has something to do with some manipulations in programming, and the name of the language is C++. I decoded that, so okay, now I understand what it is about, and this is my top-down process, yeah, my bottom-up process, when I know already something that programming exists, and I made some assumptions. The main one is that I don't know what this text is about and how to properly understand it. And the fourth statement, the more words there are, the longer the text will take to read. Let's look at these lines. Try reading it as fast as possible. And now let's look at this. Which one was quicker? Yeah, the first text or the second text? I'm pretty sure that the second one was much quicker. Why? Yeah, somebody wrote second one is much quicker, but look, this is the shorter text with very short letters, very short syllables. And here we have a longer text with more complicated words. Yes, because it's a sentence, because it has meaning, because the main idea is that because all the words are linked. So it's not about how short or long the text is, but it's about how the words are linked to each other. And whenever we teach our students reading, if we go for tap, rat, bag, rag, rat, it takes more time and it's much worse for the brain. But if we go for what do we have at Quick Minds 1? A fat rat on a black mat, or a fat rat in a black bag. Yeah, this is a sentence. We can see a picture actually of that rat who's sitting in that bag. And in this case, students can read much better and understand much better because they link the words together. We don't usually read what is not linked together unless it's just an exercise, right? In the chants and poems and songs, in this case, work much better for your students because everything is linked together, it rhymes, it has the rhythm, and it's much more understandable and entertaining at the same time. So whenever you use these exercises where you have to read the words in a row, which make no sense if you put them together, be careful with that. This is something that doesn't even make you feel secure, because when you remember your feelings when you read this: jam, hot, pin, call, you feel like you're stumbling into each word, right? Like it doesn't make sense. And your brain, our brain is created that way. It wants to make sense out of everything it approaches and to feel it somehow with sense. And here, it doesn't make any sense. So again, be careful with this kind of exercises. We are moving to how we can create the atmosphere, the circumstances for students where they will be able to learn different reading skills for different reasons, for different purposes. And we will look at that through the stages of the lesson. So here is my first task. What are these mystery objects? Can you type in the chat? What are these mystery objects? Anastasia, keep your question and ask me that question at the end of the session so I don't interrupt it right now. We will have time for questions. Okay, thanks a lot. Space, I like that. Astronomy. That's something that fourth graders might say. Yeah, space, that's the word they know already. Stars, okay. Some mystery objects, yeah. And then we might ask students not even to name these objects, but to fill out the chart. Picture 1. Where it is. Yeah, we look at the picture 1. I look at it and I write something like math teacher has such things, or I would write something like museum. Yeah, for what? To measure something. They already know this word from grade 3. Then size. It's small. That's what I would say. Then picture 2, it's in the sky. It's for nothing. and size, it's very big. It's the biggest. Yeah, and so on. So we think about it, and we can discuss that later with the partner. What are these things? Why they exist? What can you do? And this is how we burst students' creativity. They don't have to know what these things are. They don't have to be super aware of especially the first thing. I actually didn't know till today, before I started preparing this webinar, what that was. And the last thing, well, it looks like a camera. Some of them might know that this is telescope and share with the partner. So it's something, yeah, for night sky observers. That's true. And why we would put this exercise here. You can later show them that first two things are star trackers. And second picture is Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. This is what the smaller and the bigger bear sound like in English, because it's from Latin. And they are constellations, groups of stars. Like if you were a star and your friend is a star and your other classmate is a star, together you're like constellation, a group of stars. And it something like this. Then we go to, yeah, this is the first stage. We engage the learners and we see what they might know about it. We engage them with different things, but we need to move to the text itself. So this is Unit 8, Quick Minds 4 for Ukraine. The topic is animals. And there is a text in the activity book connected to this topic, but it starts a little bit differently. And here's my question to the students. Look at the text, yeah, and find other animals in the text. Then we look at this text very fast. Look through the text and find other animals. What other animals you can meet here? Okay. Here we go. I can see a bear. I can see a dog, lion, dog, birds. Great. Someone finished reading. That's great. A dog, a lion, bears. Yeah. Wonderful. We found all the animals. But we are moving on because that was what? That was reading for gist. For the first time, reading reading to understand what our assumptions were. Have we found the bear that we were discussing previously? Was it actually an animal or not? Yeah, it was a constellation, it's in the sky, and so on. Then we go to reading for specific purposes. What are these animals? And here I prepared a table for you. Ursa, Canis, Leo, Cygnus, and Camelopardus. We will need now to find equivalents in English and maybe in Ukrainian, yeah, not at this webinar, but at the lesson, why not? We can use language too for that. So we look at the text again and see what's there going on with these animals. So we've got Ursa, the great bear. In English, it's a bear. Canis. Oh, sorry. We'll look again at the text. Big dog and little dog. So it's a dog. Leo, that's obvious, a lion. Cygnus. And Camelopardus or Camelopardus, right? What are they? And we have an interesting question. Which animal are Cygnus and Camelopardus? They both have long necks, but the Camelopardus neck is the longest. Cygnus is a bird. Which animals are they? What do you think? An animal with a very long neck. Ooh, great! I've got a giraffe and a swan. Great! Look at that, how smart you are. Because I had to Google it. I couldn't guess it. Okay, so we've got swans and giraffes here. We can ask students to make a picture of those constellations, and I will show you another wonderful thing, what I was doing. I hope you can see, this is a picture of me using an application. The application is called Star Tracker, and this could be a great project for you students. I don't know whether you can see it, but it shows you the stars in real time in the whole sky all around the Earth, and you can find all the constellations here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's shiny, so everything is signed. And you can see the names of the stars in English, but in this astronomy English. Yeah, and I actually found all of these constellations here in this application. Now I know exactly where they are and where to find them in the sky at night. And I can also see the planets here. So when I look at the sky, I will, at night, I will be able to see where the planets are as well, and to check them here. Yeah, like you look like this, and that's it, that works. So we can use different applications in these times. There are thousands of them for each topic, and we can sparkle students' interest using such things like this Star Tracker. This is a QR code that will lead you to this application. If you're interested, scan it now or make a screenshot. And when you come to the topic connected to space or stars, you can use it, and there will be definitely students who will be super interested, right? And yeah, so this will be not just reading for the sake of reading the text and getting the skill to pass the exam or something. This will be reading for a reason, like reading news, or in our case, this is actually reading scientific article, the beginning of it, yeah, with a question, and later on we have the reason to research something more, and it might be in English as well, and students will Google it and see what else they can find. And using this application, they will be maybe encouraged to continue this table and make it a table for themselves with more animals, how they sound in the star language, and then how they sound in English and what are their equivalents in Ukrainian. Maybe not all of them are animals, like Ursa in Ukrainian would have a different meaning. And yeah, when we look at the stages of the lesson, first, generate learners' interest in the topic of the text. I remember I first showed you the objects connected to astronomy, to the sky, then teach vocabulary, which will be essential for the reading tasks. I showed you constellations and I showed you Ursa. The rest, well, that was stated in the text for the students to research, so I didn't show that. Get learners to predict what the text will say. Yeah, what animals can you see in the text? So will it be about the animals or not, and so on. Then set an easier reading task and time limit. Find the animals in 1 minute. Learners read and do the task. Ask learners to compare answers to the task in pairs or small groups. Check answers in the class. Set a more challenging reading task next time and a time limit again. Then learners read and do this task. Ask learners to compare answers to the task in pairs or small groups. That's for further reading of this text. And then we check these answers, and then we can have our personal reactions to the text when we already know everything about the text. The next task for this text would be rather about phonemic awareness, where you can see here that students need to listen, to drill the words, then to acquire this word in their brain, then they move to the ability to read this word, and then to encode this word as it should be. So the next task here is find all the words that contain TH and that contain ST. This is more research on the text and more philological one, which helps students to see how the language works, to notice things, how ST sounds in different contexts, like stars, like brightest, and like questions. Yeah, so these soundings are different, and that might be interesting for them to explore that, to find it and put it into one column. And then we have alias, we have both, we have other TH words, then, yeah, and how it's different from alias and then, yeah, how the position of the tongue is different and so on. Okay, sorry for that. And going further, as I mentioned already, we can use this application to find more words, more ideas, more constellations. We might even set a project of what is visible from the place where the students live, what is visible in the sky, and have some fun with that. So remember that once we learn the word, the new word, we can only decode this word in the context while we are reading this word. And this is important, that we don't only train our students to read letter by letter, word by word, with different speeds and so on, but we let our students develop their thinking processes, develop their cognitive flexibility of their brain, and so on. And remember that effective reading lessons often contain the following distinct phases: preparation for reading, so it's pre-reading tasks, the reading itself, which can consist of 2 or 3 cycles through the text, a follow-up phase, which often involves reacting to or working with the text in some way after reading tasks. If we look at these stages and see how skills work at these stages, so we have reading for gist, reading for specific purpose, specific information, and reading for detail. And to conclude what we begun with, we usually need to read and decode letters in order to read the words, particularly at the early stages of reading. 4th grade is not early stage of reading anymore, so we do need to decode letters for sure. We do need to pay attention to how letters work in the words. So students discover different ways, different rules, reading rules, and so on. Then we do not need to necessarily read every word accurately to understand the text itself, as you saw with the text with mixed up letters. When reading a text, we use our own world knowledge in order to access the meaning. So lead-in exercises, pre-reading exercises are extremely crucial for the young learners who might know nothing about this or that topic. And the more clearly the words are linked together to make coherent sense units, and the more clearly sentences are linked to make coherent paragraph, the easier the text will be to read. Remember about the links between the words, the links between the sentences that you provide for your students to read. To learn more about how life competencies work, please print screen this one and follow this link by QR code where you will find all the life competencies and everything connected to them. Quick Minds for Ukraine, with the wonderful stories that are very linked to each other throughout the whole book, create this opportunity for students to be emotionally involved. So glad for those who chose Quick Minds for this year, and hope that we will keep working with you. Whenever you need something, let us know. We will support you with all the materials we have and all the advice we can provide. And remember that Quick Minds 4 has a wonderful can-do statements section where students can check themselves. We have all the materials together with reading worksheets and grammar worksheets and yearly planning, with all the audio and other resources for Quick Minds for Ukraine on our Publishing Linguist website. Again, you can follow the link to find everything there. Quick Minds for Ukraine, you can see that we have the full set of additional components, like activity books, of course, with the 10% discount for A1 movers exams. Don't forget about this. We have teacher's book online. We also have super dictionary book for grade 4, super puzzles book with more thinking, creative and critical thinking, developing games. We've got teachers' resources, flashcards, and also we finally have super reading book, which is finally available from the Linguist company. And for now, any questions? I remember that question about how we can, how students at the grade 4 can make sense out of what they read at this age. First of all, we should never underestimate students of this age. They are much more creative than we are. They are much more open for the new senses that we can emit somehow. And a very, very important, okay, I will come back to the link where you can find teacher's book for those who have this question. Yeah, we shouldn't underestimate the students' understanding of the world. And for them, making sense would go from first, imitating the language, the new chunks of the language, imitating it till they acquire it. Only then they acquire the sense of this sentence, of this chunk of the language. For example, if I repeat many times, may I have a glass, please? And when I say this, somebody gives it to me, I acquire the sense of this phrase. If we are talking about constellations and so on, what makes sense for them is what we point at. And here we need to, as I've been mentioning, we need to burst their bottom-up cognitive processes where we provide them some background knowledge for this topic. And once students have background knowledge, they can make sense of out of what they read easier. And this is what's important for reading skills, not reading separate words, but seeing how they are connected. Online resources to develop reading skills. Oh, well, what I'm showing here now, we have worksheets, reading worksheets. They are free downloadable at our Linguist Publishing website. And here are the contacts of our ELT consultants, Irina and me. These are our email addresses. Have you any questions? Please don't hesitate to email us. And on the right of this slide, you can find our Facebook page. So please join it, like us, and be aware of all the news we provide at this page. The official distributor of Cambridge University Press in Ukraine is the Linguist Company. Here is our address, our contacts, and if you need anything, any books, and not just Quick Minds, but all the Cambridge University Press courses and other courses of other publishers, please feel free to contact us.